Alex. There we go. We are live, everybody. It is show number 6. It is a Friday, and it's a miserable day, but the good news is they were telling us that there was going to be a nasty, big, mean old storm right over us right at this moment, and overnight we were watching it, and now the storm has moved off to noon here for Crookston. I didn't check on Fargo, but we thought that we could get the show done without too much thunder and lightning and any messy stuff. So it is time for us to start the show today, and we are excited. We are going down the path of Hempcrete. So I'm going to introduce my co-host, and she is going to introduce our guest. And two exciting things happening today, actually, because for the first time we have a producer today. So I get to sit here and just fire off one question after another rather than having to run all of the equipment. So it's just going to be fun on every kind of a level. Takes me back to the old days of KDWN radio, 50,000 watts of power coming out of Las Vegas, Nevada. And my studio was right at the end of Fremont Avenue down there in Las Vegas. And you looked down and you looked at all of the downtown hotels. And my show started at midnight. So it was the place to be back in the 70s, I think. It's like Woodstock. If you can remember it, you weren't there. Anyway, I read that somewhere. My co-host down here, look, I got my angles right today.
Hi, everyone.
From Prairie Products in Fargo, North Dakota is Veronica Michael. She is awesome. We didn't know it, but we grew up 20 years and 20 miles apart from each other. And welcome today, Veronica. You're looking wonderful. And of course, because there's not much sun today, your background is a little bit darkened, and it's kind of like we could be doing midnight music on FM 97 or something. So
yes, it's that moody look for a storm day. So good morning.
It is. Good morning.
Well, I hope we are going to have some thunder and lightning in our conversation today with Matt Marino from Mandan. Matt has been involved with Hempcrete in our region, and I got to meet Matt and was super impressed by one, his passion for hemp and his innovation. So we're excited to have you, Matt. How are you today?
Thanks, guys. I'm excited to be here. I'm doing really well.
Matt, could you tell us a little bit about your company and your project?
Yeah, for sure. So I own Homeland Hempcrete, and really our ultimate goal is to build or offer the opportunity for people to build with a more sustainable, eco-friendly product, better for the occupants' health and better for the environment. And we found that through Hempcrete that we can offer that. So that's what we're working towards right now. Right now, we're kind of still in the development stage, working on small projects and testing and doing small builds just to kind of build awareness and doing different educational meetups to get people familiar with the product so that when the time comes and people are ready to make that decision, we can start to offer that as a eco-friendly building material.
How did you get interested in Hempcrete?
Yeah, so my wife and I have been interested in hemp for quite a while. We lived in Colorado for a handful of years, and that's kind of what opened our eyes to the material. One of our neighbors mentioned it just passing at one point, probably 4 or 5 years ago now, and was talking about all the opportunities with hemp and how not too many people are really focusing on that material right now, but there's so much more opportunity that people don't realize, and that's when we started to look into it. And so at that point, we knew that we wanted to be involved in the hemp industry in some way or another. And so we just started kind of dabbling and using different hemp products, trying to incorporate that into our daily lives as we try to live a healthy lifestyle as well as try to have minimal impact with kind of our lifestyle choices. And so gradually over time, we just started using more hemp products. And my wife and I also renovate and maintain properties. And so it kind of became like a no-brainer after a little bit where we decided that we should just be using a material like hempcrete when we're looking at doing house building and projects like that anytime we can for insulation. There's a lot of materials that aren't so good for the occupant's health, and they're not very good for the long-term sustainability for our planet. So hempcrete was kind of a no-brainer when you're considering a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah. So what can you do with hempcrete?
Yeah, so it's the name throws it off a little bit. A lot of people compare it to concrete, and it's not quite like concrete. It acts. It's got a couple of similar properties, especially in the way that it's cast in place, where you can have forms and you fill it to fill a wall cavity. But besides that, it's pretty different. So hempcrete is right now it's considered an infill insulation material in walls. So it becomes your exterior wall, your interior wall, and the insulation in between. But you still have your wood frame in the middle of your builds in your wall structures. So it's primarily used for using. So for instance, the building I'm in right now, the floors are insulated with hempcrete, the walls are all hempcrete, and then the ceiling is insulated with hempcrete. But then I cover it up with. So this is lime right behind me. There's a protective coating on it. So really it replaces majority of the materials that go into building a traditionally built home, just to simplify it with really one main product, so you don't have any vapor barriers or anything like that. Some of the things, or I guess one of the main things you really can't do with hempcrete, and I get this asked a lot of times because people associate it with concrete, but you can't do things that are below grade. So you can't do sidewalks, you can't do basements. It's strongly not recommended to do those kinds of projects, and that is because one of the benefits of hempcrete is its ability to manage moisture content. And so that's why you don't need a vapor barrier, because it has the ability to absorb moisture when there's a lot of it and shed moisture when there's not too much of it in the air. So you get pretty consistent humidity levels on the inside of your builds, which is awesome. And if you have water issues inside, or if there's a lot of rain, if it soaks in, it will release over time, and you don't have issues. If you're in contact with the ground for a long period of time, it's just going to continue to uptake moisture from that ground, and that's what causes issues and starts to deteriorate your product. So that's one of the limitations of hempcrete. But other than that, it's really needs to be kind of displayed as a wall system for building homes.
So if you're building, then you especially around here, Minnesota, North Dakota, you want to have that concrete foundation and up a ways, so that the hempcrete is not ever going to be down on ground level or even down on sprinkler level or anything like that. You want to start it up at some point away from floodwater, rainwater, those kind of things.
Yeah, if floodwater is a concern, then you would want to be up above that, the flood line. As far as like snow and rain, so like our first build we did in Mandan was just on a slab that was already there from a dilapidated shed, and that was level with the ground. And then all we did was put one brick height above that just to give it a little bit of gap, and then put an extra coating of this lime plaster at the bottom section to act as a rain guard, so to prevent splashing, things like that.
And so and then how much? I mean, it's cold up here. We talk about its insulative values, but now that you've had some experience, and talking about it's one thing, but you living on the other side of the wall, how much do you want between you and Mother Nature, fatherland outside there in the winter here? In Mandan, North Dakota, of all places, up the hill as you go past the last Chinese food place in North Dakota. How much of this stuff do you want?
Yeah, and that's what our main consideration is with it right now. So in the north like this, you want probably a 12-inch wall as a standard. We're designing a house build right now, and we're planning for the garage will be 12 inches, but the house itself will be 15 inches, just to add that extra buffer. And we're doing that because when you get to that level of insulation, you can take in some passive house approaches there and minimize things like we're not going to have an HVAC system. We're going to have minimal heating and cooling in the house. We'll probably have like a wood pellet stove as our main heat source. But when you have that level of insulation, you really don't need to you can compensate by over insulating and then underpowering your heat source and your cooling source in that case.
So Matt, you are in a structure right now. Could you show us the room you're in so we could see a little bit of what we're talking about here?
Yeah, for sure. Let me see if I can flip this really quick.
Get his fingerprints quick. We might need them later.
Yeah. Okay. You guys see my camera?
Okay, yep.
Yeah, that's my driveway here. Hold on one second here.
Okay.
So here's the exterior. So this is all lime plaster here, and then as you can see, this is like the splash guard I was talking about, having some wood cladding on it.
Oh, yep.
And then you come in here. So I insulated the door. This is just hemp wool, which is made out of hemp fiber. And then so here's the inside, and this is where I've been sitting here. So you can see I have a biochar plaster in the back, and then hemp wood desk and bench, and then this is wood wool board here, which is really good for acoustics and keeping the sound good for my office.
All right.
That's awesome. That's a metal roof. Did I see a metal roof on that structure?
Yeah, so I just used some steel from the last time we did a build there.
Is that another kind of just thing to do to keep moisture at bay at the other parts of the structure, or is that something, like you said, you just had some around?
You're talking about the roof?
Yeah.
So the roof can be whatever you want. You could do shingles or anything like that. I try to stick with doing. We're looking at try to do some more sustainable options. So steel is not the most sustainable, but it's recycled steel, so you get the benefit there. Asphalt shingles are not very eco-friendly in any way, and they don't perform as well either. So we did that for kind of more so testing purposes to use a little bit more eco-friendly product, a little bit more durable, and then also we're for our next build we're going to be using the same product and doing a rainwater collection system, and so that's the best material to use for that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what do you see as the future of hempcrete in building?
So it's right now it's tricky. It's kind of a waiting game to see as things kind of fall together here. We're still waiting on things like the International Build Code. You can't build with hempcrete easily without getting special consideration and approval. So that's kind of our main hindrance. And then the other part of that, and that's what I'm working on right now, is just general education and awareness, and getting people familiar with the product. And so when I have people that reach out to me and after they start to learn a little bit and see the benefits and see that the product is, as I say, as good or better than a traditionally built home in just about every way, people start to see the value in it. And so getting the education out there and getting people comfortable with the material is huge right now. The green building industry or segment of the market is just exploding the past couple of years, and this definitely falls within that category, the green building segment. And so I think it's just going to be a matter of time, probably within the next 1 to 3 years or so, that you start to see more and more houses in the U.S. popping up. Places like in Europe, there's houses all over the place that they've been building with for decades now with hempcrete, where it's pretty commonplace to hire someone just to build a house out of hempcrete. And so I think we're fast approaching that here in the U.S. We're still just getting the infrastructure together now.
So for this area, I feel like we have seen more when it comes to, environmental builds like cob houses or straw bale houses. How does hempcrete compare in its efficiency or R value to some of these other non-traditional forms we might be more used to in the valley?
Yeah, for sure. So I think that it's one of those products that can complement kind of those natural products that people are already using, products like that. Some of the things that hempcrete can do that some of these products don't. First off, you mentioned the insulation value, and so it's got a pretty decent R value. It's about R2 per inch, so you're getting about R24 if you do that 12-inch wall. But you're also getting the fact that if you're doing the cast in place like what I do, where you have form boards and then you fill by hand all the way up, you're getting a monolithic design that is one big thermal envelope essentially, where you're capturing you're retaining all of your energy inside the walls of that house, and you're eliminating air gaps when you do that. So there's a huge benefit in that right off the bat. But then you also have that moisture management that I mentioned. Because of the lime content, you're not going to have that deters pests and mold. Both of those you don't really have to worry too much about that in a hempcrete house. And then you just have, I mean, the longevity of the product. It's pretty easy if you're doing any kind of renovations or anything like that. If you need to work on this wall or if you have damage, you just slap another coat of lime on it and you're good to go. So it's pretty easy to manage once you have it in place. And the nice part about it too is if you're doing a renovation or anything like that, you can reuse the material. So for instance, the roof on this structure right here is from all the projects, small projects that I did that didn't work out so well. I just broke them up and remixed them, and they're now part of my roof for this project. So it's a sustainable product because you're using the waste from a crop, but you're also able to continue to use that product after it's already been initially used.
That's unbelievable. I mean, think of the all the building waste that we have going off to landfills. That's actually mind-boggling that you're able to reuse that and put that back into the build, and so cost effective.
Absolutely. Yep.
So if you're talking about then an R30 on the walls, a little bit overkill, but you're doing it to cut down on your HVAC needs and even to go without an air conditioner. Around here, they're talking up to 60, for ceilings. That would be almost 30 inches of hempcrete.
Yep.
Is that what you're putting up there, or are you supplementing that with some other another barrier of some kind also?
Yep, exactly. To your second point there. So you probably wouldn't do the whole roof. I guess you could, but it's going to be pretty heavy. So the main idea is just to get that base envelope design. So like my floors, for instance, here only like 2 inches thick. My ceiling's probably 3 to 4 inches thick, and I don't have any additional insulation over that. But what we will do in our next build, we have an off-grid cabin we're planning right now. So we'll do 3.5 inches on the ceiling, and then we'll have about our 40 worth of bat insulation over top of that. So we'll eliminate our air gaps and our thermal bridging from our rafters, and then we'll layer in the rest, supplement the rest with just traditional some eco-friendly bat insulation before we put our roof on.
And is this something you would wrap Tyvek yet around the outside?
Nope, you wouldn't have to. So hempcrete actually does need to breathe a bit. So you need to have that. So when you cast it, when you place it, it's pretty wet, and so it needs to cure out. But it's going to be curing for perpetually for 100. They say that it can absorb carbon from the atmosphere up to 100 years after the build, because that's how lime cures. Yeah. So you're going to constantly there's always going to be some moisture in the air, and so the hempcrete will absorb it and then shed it just on an ongoing basis. So if you put any kind of barrier, you're going to eliminate its ability to do that.
So what do you do inside the house then? Can you paint it, do anything you want inside?
So there's a couple options. What we will do to keep it simple for our next build is just do lime plaster like this, and we can do it. I did a rough coat here, but you can do it smooth so it looks just like a traditional wall. You can also line it with, there's a couple materials that work well with hempcrete. MgO board is magnesium oxide board, and that has permeability so that it can breathe and allow the hempcrete to breathe behind it. So that looks just like sheetrock, except it's a better product for using with hempcrete. You can't use sheetrock because that just retains moisture and won't release it. So if you do want some kind of wall structure on top of the hempcrete, you could put MgO board on there and then plaster over top that, and it would look the same. Or you can paint that as well with whatever paints you want to use. We're trying to stay, because you're using such an eco-friendly product, there's no VOCs or anything like that in hempcrete. So we're trying to stay as natural as possible. And so like using a lime plaster is pretty natural. You're not going to breathe in any harmful chemicals when the house is done. And so that's one of the big benefits when building with hempcrete, is that you don't have to worry about all the chemicals that go into building the traditional products, because there are none here. It's all natural products.
But then there's no paint on the inside. I mean, you can't have a bluish kitchen and a beige dining room and a neon green bedroom, whatever your choice might be. But I mean,
so this is just base lime plaster, no pigment. But I have about 50 different pigments to choose from. So you would just tint it.
You would tint the
Oh,
lime.
nice.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yep. So
I get it.
it'll look, if I did this with a pigment that I wanted to do and I did it with my finish coat, it would look exactly like a regular wall to you.
Okay.
And I could do it any color you want.
Sure.
Well,
sure.
I like the white to hang art, but I guess John has comments about color.
Is Art a friend of yours? Who is this guy Art you keep talking about?
That's fascinating. That is fascinating.
Yeah.
So one of the things you said, because I'm just always curious about off-grid builds, is just how did you solve or decide to solve some of your challenges with plumbing or heating in that scenario, along with hemp?
So you mean for the off-grid build that we're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that one will be like truly off-grid, no connectivity, and so it's gonna be pretty simple. It's gonna be like a 250 square foot cabin. We're calling it the bunkhouse, and it's gonna be completely independent. So we're gonna use a water filtration system. There's gonna be no real plumbing. It'll just be a water catchment system that will filter through. And so I'll have some minimal plumbing just on the interior and then some drainage. For electricity, we'll run electricity throughout the house. And in Hempcrete, you need to put everything in conduit so that you have that gap, kind of similar to a concrete wall where you need to be able to run wires through the wall after the fact. But we'll be running off the solar panels and battery backup, so we won't have any connectivity there. So that should be about it. And then we'll be doing a composting toilet. So there's really no need for any connection there. The idea is to be off the grid and just, it'll be kind of a getaway from the chaos of day-to-day and daily technology. So it's going to be pretty simple.
That sounds beautiful. That sounds beautiful.
Long as you have 100 megabyte internet, I'm there.
I might throw a wee boost on the roof there, so I
There
can
you
get
go.
some
There you go.
connectivity. But
I'll bring a 4x4 foot solar panel so the internet's powered up, and then we're
there you go.
we're there.
Dedicated.
So Matt, I am curious, when people have looked at, cob building or other kinds of alternative building, a big factor is the ability for the homeowner to do the build themselves. So when it comes to hempcrete building, does that apply also? Or are there barriers for homeowners to kind of jump in like you have for equipment to, I have a million questions.
Yeah, that's a good question. So when people ask that, I try to, if I have my phone with me, which I'm using right now, so I can't show you, but I try to show them a picture of my kids with Hempcrete. So I have a 3-year-old and a 7-year-old, and I mean, I could teach them how to work with Hempcrete. So I could teach anyone to work with Hempcrete, and so that's kind of the nice thing about it. And what we're kind of after initially, anyway, is to offer that as kind of an experience for people to be heavily involved in the home build itself. I mean, we'll eventually get to the point where people are probably just wanting to have say, I want a hempcrete house, build it for me. But what we're kind of looking for those early adopters is the people that are truly invested, that are taking their health seriously, and that really want to have the pride of help build their own house. And so we can easily offer that just by acting as a facilitator, a consultant, and we can provide some labor, but having the home builder involved with the build throughout the hempcreting process is easy to do, and it's actually a lot of fun. There's really not much. Really, you just need gloves and a mixer and some buckets and a water source, and you're good to go. So, and we provide that. So there's really not much to it. It takes probably a couple minutes to teach someone how to do that. And we're just starting to now offer some educational hands-on experiences here in the next month in Bismarck, so that people can start to see how easy it really is.
That's awesome. Awesome.
So if a regular traditional house costs X per square foot, what is how much is a hempcrete house? Just kind of comparing, is it a little bit more, a little bit less per square foot?
Yeah, it's going to be more expensive just because the traditionally built homes have been able to kind of streamline processes and economy of scale there for decades.
Over 200 years, yeah,
exactly.
Sure.
So we're still working on the supply chain for hempcrete, both the lime and the hemp hurd, of getting processing down. So prices are going to be more expensive. They say the price is going to be the biggest factor is going to be that labor. So if someone is willing to help out and maybe give it a week and say, hey, I'm going to have a couple of my family members and myself go help do the building. You're going to save a lot of money on the labor. So they compare it to roughly the cost of building like a brick home. So you're probably about 10 to 15% more than like a traditional, like a vinyl siding house or something like that. But if you can flex some of that labor cost, there's also the consideration of if you do the high insulation value, you can really save a lot of money. I mean, we're going to save a lot of money by not even putting in an HVAC system. If you so chose to put one in still, you'd still be saving money because it's going to be a pretty efficient house at the end of the day. So over the life of the build, it's still going to be worth it. It's just getting people to see that is going to be the biggest factor right now.
And zoning is a problem yet. And regular, we can't build one in a typical city. Like Fargo would say, Is that true at this time, or are they open to allowing this?
Depends who you talk to in Fargo.
Okay.
There's some people.
I just randomly picked that town. Pick a general city, Bismarck, Mandan, pick any place. Is it possible to put one in a city at this time?
It's possible. There's just some extra hurdles, and that's what we're up against right now.
Okay.
So
it is doable then. It is doable
absolutely.
to put it in as a traditional home. Can you get a generic home loan against it?
So we haven't tried yet for ourselves, but there are people in the U.S. that have. So
they have.
It's possible. Yeah.
Okay, so you can get a conventional loan. You can fight with the zoning people a little bit and encourage them and educate them a little bit. And obviously, there's a lot of European data that shows that they don't burn down because the kids are playing with matches, and we've proved all these things already. It's not. I'm not hearing that it's like you said. It's about the cost of a brick home, and certainly people go to brick homes a whole lot as you drive around any neighborhood, so it's not out of line. Do we have a problem with the supply of the hemp herd yet? Do we need more? Does that need to be a regular, street corner kind of availability, or is that if you can build a big house, can you get the hemp herd?
Yeah, so there's definitely enough hemp being grown at this time for the amount of demand there is at the moment. And I think that will continue even when demand goes up. There's still plenty to go around. There's a lot of, so the main part of the plant that you need for hemp herd is the stalks. And right now, a lot of stalks are going to waste. And I have people all around the country asking, hey, do you want my stalks? And one, it's not really economical to ship them from Colorado from there to here because it's really a waste product. You really should be getting that as local as possible. But then also the processing side is pretty expensive to get a setup going. And so that's where prices are going to come down eventually, and where we'll get more farmers on board. We have some farmers that have kind of left the grain and fiber side to go dabble with CBD. I think some will come back or do maybe a little bit of both when there's a viable option for end products for them. And so working out the processing side of things to get that material made is the biggest hindrance right now on the supply side. It's still possible to get. It's just a little bit more expensive. And I mean, the last order I ordered it with anticipation of needing it in 6 weeks, and it took 6 months. So, wow. I mean, things happen.
Yeah. Now, Matt, you talking about, viability of moving hemp waste products around. You made something from some of our waste material at Prairie Products. Do you want to show us?
Yeah, let's see if I can fit it here in the picture here. So this is just a hempcrete slab I made, like a panel, and then right here, got my camera backwards still. It's hard to see the color, but it's kind of a light green. So I'm basically using the byproduct of Veronica's product as a plaster. So it'd be similar to what's on my wall here. I mix it with the byproduct of Veronica's materials, and we have a surface right here. It's kind of a unique product because it gives it a green look, kind of like an olive look, and it's held up really well, and it does pretty well with moisture. So if I pour water on it or anything like that, it runs off pretty quick. There's not much absorption, which is what you want in walls. So overall, it's been good.
Awesome. We're excited. We're excited that there could be opportunities for our growers in the future, of course, to be able to get rid of the waste material they have on the farm, as well as any waste material we have in our processes too. So that's pretty
Yeah.
extraordinary.
So when it comes off of you, Veronica, is it mushy? Is it what's it like when it comes out of your extractors? What?
Yeah, so when we pull the material out of the extractor, we're pulling almost all the cannabinoids off at that
Right,
point
right.
with alcohol. So then we have something left that's really wet. It's soaked in alcohol. So we really wring that out well so that we can maintain the extract from that for our growers
you
and
want
us.
the alcohol
Yeah.
back. You don't want to
And
lose
we,
any alcohol.
Exactly.
Yeah,
We don't
yeah.
want to use any of our solvents. So after we wring it out, the alcohol dissipates quite quickly and it's kind of a powdery, dry material. It loses its chlorophyll, like its coloring as it ages a little bit. Right away it's really bright green. But as Matt mentioned, it's this olive, pretty dust at the end almost. Wouldn't you say, Matt?
Yeah, it's kind of working with like a fine sand. So it works perfect for what I'm
Wow.
doing because the lime I'm using is like a consistency of baby powder. So you're mixing two powders essentially, and then adding water to activate them, and they mix really well.
And joking a little bit, but you don't have to have people be 18 before they can enter the house then or anything. I mean, it's.
I don't think so. Got to talk to Veronica on that on the product you're giving me.
But so that's really neat. So you can
Actually,
take
I
the
want to comment
byproduct.
on that because that is something that's so interesting. After we're done processing, there is about 1% cannabinoid
So it's
left in
one.
that product. But so it's a little bit, but it's still a farm bill legal product. The thing that I am fascinated with you, Matt, and your, the hemp building concepts though, is these are products that we know are pesticide free, heavy metal free. They're free of many molds because we've already tested them or seen those levels in those products. So I think what a great application to know, hey, here's this product that we were going to consume. We've already tested for these standards. Now as we're putting it around our environment, we know what it really contains.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, and that's kind of the beauty of it is that it's just so simple.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're getting rid of the waste in more ways than one, so it's good all around.
So how did you get interested, you and your wife, in renovating houses and doing this kind of building? Was it something that you just, how did you get interested?
So I mean, since I was like a little kid, I've just always been interested in, like, I'm always building something. Just really, that's kind of my thing, is just dabbling with building stuff. So been doing that for a long time, and then we lived in Minnesota for a bit, and we couldn't. I know, right? I had a job opportunity in Colorado, so we had to sell our house, but we couldn't sell it. So after we had done some work to it, we were like, okay, well, we're just going to rent it out now. And then so that's kind of what started it, where we saw the viability of that. And so we started buying more houses that needed some work and working on now. So like our current house we live in right now, we're just wrapping up some renovations. But that's what we're doing.
Cool. John, do you have any other questions over there?
627,452. What did you think the first time you mixed it? I watched your video last night of you guys mixing it. There's a video you have with no sound, or else I didn't get any sound on it. About a 6-minute video, and I got to tell you, I mean, I thought it was more complicated. It shifted from a complex thing to a work commitment thing. Would that make sense to you, that it's this work commitment if you want to have a hempcrete product? That's the thing. It's this work commitment, but the recipe is relatively straightforward. There's 3 ingredients: water, the hurd, which is the inside of the hemp plant that's been dried enough so that it doesn't mold or anything, and lime. I thought there was going to be a secret formula. I thought at least 11 herbs and spices from Colonel Sanders, and that we were going to be questioning you today, and you're going to go, well, that's proprietary. We can't tell you. We can't. I can't tell you that, and I can't tell you that, and I can't tell you that. And I mean, it seems to me that the magic is in the mix. That it's the work of mixing it up and like a little bit like making cement. I mean, I'm sure it's got to be. You got to have this mix that feels right to you before you go and start tamping it into the form. Have I hit it pretty good?
You have, yeah. It's pretty simple, and that's why I say I could teach anyone to do it. It really comes down to the order of your mixes, because you can mess that up, and then your ratios for sure. But yeah, it's a lot of work to make it at times, but it's a pretty simple process. And what I say is anyone that has if you have any kind of land and you grow hemp on it, you could, and if you're close to a lime source or like a Home Depot or anything like that has construction materials, you could essentially build your own house. If you harvest your own crop and you have a water source and can get lime, then you can build it. Those are really the only 3 ingredients you need. So how
much time from the mixing to the tamping it in do you have? I mean, I see it in like maybe a 20-pound batch, but could you do a 200-pound batch at a time? Or what's the batching size that's recommended?
Yeah, so I actually get this question probably at least once a month. People ask if you can put it in a mixing truck.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, that's
kind of things.
That's what I'm asking. Can it come out in a concrete truck and be slewed? What's the word? Down the thing, and can we fill her up?
Yeah, so it's got some or limited working time on the material itself. So
okay.
That one of the reasons you can't do that is because the lime sets pretty quick, and it depends on the lime you use. The lime I use has some additives in it, some natural additives that help it cure faster. So it cures within 30 minutes or so. So you really have 30 to 60 minutes of working time. And then it starts to dry out because it starts the curing process. There's some limes that take a bit longer, and so you have a little bit more working time. But the difference between mixing like concrete, for instance, which is kind of a little bit more slushy, as opposed to like hempcrete. Hempcrete's more like a drier oatmeal, or like my wife makes a hemp chicken salad mix, and it looks just like that. Like it's kind of a drier mix there with where you can't really pour it from a machine per se.
Okay, and do you have bad days with your wife then, when you can just move the salad into the product and not tell her, and and then when you're back in the house, you can go, I think the salad's right up about right up. No, believe me, I'm just kidding. But so you see that the variegation then in the wall a little bit as you're making the batches. You'll see as you've tamped it down. Do you get a little bit of the with concrete, you see that where there's, the different pores will give you a bit of an inside line.
Yep. Yeah. So you're going to do the same thing. You're going to have lifts where you're going to have lines, and it looks kind of cool actually, because you'll have, if you do it right, you'll have limited board lines from lift to lift, but you will have your separated lines for saying we did 6 inches here, and then there's kind of a rough edging. So it looks kind of like rammed earth almost. Where you have kind of layers.
Insurance, regular insurance. Oh, I'm sorry, you're next. But
John, you're hogging. You're hogging Matt.
I'll give him. I got an insurance question, and I'll give him back to you.
You know what? We let him out of the corral as the producer, and look what happened.
It just goes nuts.
No, I don't want to skip over, because insurance is really important, John. But all jest aside, so what we've been just talking about, though, with the volume makes me think of modular homes. And I'm a grand design on Netflix freak watching that show. You should be one of their people that they watch for 2 years, Matt. But what's the viability then of saying, okay, everyone needs to work at home right now. The homeowner puts a concrete slab in their backyard and they buy Homeland Hemp's little house. Is it possible for you to make forms and then pretty much sell this kind of building process as a modular unit, or is that just too far away and it needs to be the homeowner on site building?
No, so that's actually a good point. And that's something I think the whole industry is kind of exploring right now, including myself, is you can build a lot faster when you do something like that. So there's a build, I think it was over in England a couple months ago, where they built a full-scale house in like 2 to 3 days, I believe, because they had these pre-made panels. So you can do, I mean, there is a cure time involved with Hempcrete where you can't do much else with the walls themselves until it cures. And so if you can do that in a controlled environment before you even install the walls, then you're ready to go. You just install the walls and you keep going with your build. So really it just comes down to having a facility to do that. And so we're working on some designs right now for doing some panels. The main thing is they're going to be heavy. So you might need some heavy duty equipment to get those installed. You probably can't lift them up with your hands and place them, but that's definitely a viable option. The other one is people working with blocks, Hempcrete blocks right now. So we'll see which one catches on the most. I've seen some hybrid approaches as well that seem like they'd be good options. So we're kind of following along and seeing what ends up working out.
Fascinating. You know, I think I'd like to have a backyard hemp house, wouldn't you? You know,
everyone should.
It would be my clubhouse.
A she shed. It'd be a she shed.
It could, for me, it would be a she shed. And it would be a great place to work for many people, a great place for kids to go to school in some states. I mean, there's a lot of options out there for additional space in our living situations right now.
Sorry, Veronica, you cut out there.
Oh, what I was saying is I think so many of us need additional options on our property for living and working space.
Yep, absolutely. That's why I built this here, is because I have those 2 kids that are running around crazy inside. So this is like my sanctuary times to get away.
It is nice. I noticed you had some kind of fan or cooling right kind of near you. Is that like is it a fan that's in the window there, or?
Yeah, I just have a little rechargeable portable fan with like a water condenser on it. So on like when it's super hot, I'll turn that on just to get some good airflow. And then I have, when winter comes around, because I'll be working from here still, I'll have just a little tiny space heater in here to keep me warm.
Oh, perfect.
So
Okay.
There's no power out here. It's just rechargeable items, and then I have a rechargeable light above me.
Cool. It looks great. Okay, John, back to your insurance questions.
Well, so there we are. I mean, if I go to my State Farm or my Geico or my in North Dakota, my Farm Bureau insurance agent, and say, hey, I got this hemp house. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Everything's the same except I heat it for $1 a day. Will you insure it? Is the traditional insurance work pretty standard on it? What have you heard in that?
Yeah, so I haven't looked into it personally with my insurance company at this time, but I know that there's every build in the U.S. that's been built has insurance without much issue, and now that there's been a handful of them, they have use cases to go back on and see how it was assessed. So it would be a additional discussion with your insurance, but it's definitely possible.
Okay, I know in Tennessee, my bed and breakfast looked like a log cabin, but it wasn't a log cabin. It was a traditional built house with, the logging put on the outside. And so it was insured as a regular house, not a specialty house. So insurance was a big thing back then because it was quite a difference in price. People don't know it when they build a log house, but there's a different insurance.
Oh, yeah.
So
absolutely.
So you got things to check out. Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground here today. When would you like us to back the truck up and start building your she shed, Veronica?
Today. No, it's really, I'm not kidding, Matt. I think that you could save so many moms and dads, marriages, families, by being able to order your little, house online and have it put up or delivered to their place in North Dakota and Minnesota.
Absolutely. I could make these on a pallet here. I'll just make a bunch of them and then I'll send out the pods.
Amazon.com.
There you go.
Look for Matt. No, just kidding.
There you go.
But we
People
do have
can pick up with their trailer.
Can you put up Matt's email there, and let's leave that up here so that people, this is how you get a hold of Matt. And of course, homelandhemp.com is his website. Go there, and he's got some videos, and he has a lot of pictures that we haven't put up here. Our producer didn't get those up there. I had snuck a lot of pictures up here to show some of the process also.
Well, I would like to say, though, our
there we go.
producer, look at that.
Yeah, see?
Good job to our producer today. This was the first time he's on, so I would just like to say good job.
Get some more, get those pictures all up there so we can say, they'll go. Now, explain this building to us.
Sorry, my camera froze, so I can't see it.
Okay, well, it's the first North Dakota building, it says.
Oh, got it. Yep, yeah. So that's actually a she shed I made in Mandan. That's our first build. That was in one of our properties in Mandan. So it's a 150 square foot, 9-inch wall hempcrete unit that was built on an existing slab.
Oh, wow.
So that's exposed hempcrete right there, but we're in the process of coating it with lime. So I wanted to leave it for a year fully exposed to see how it would do in the winter, and it held up pretty well. So this year we'll throw the lime plaster on it to protect it and seal it in, and then that one should be complete.
Wow.
Big enough for you, Veronica? Or can we make one for Veronica a little bigger?
Nope, that's big enough for me.
Well, no, but we need the studio distance now, you see, because you're going to be more and more on the cameras here. So I think we need a bigger one, I think. But it's really neat. French doors, sliding glass doors on the front, and windows all around, it looks like. And it's just traditional trusses then for the roof?
Yep.
Yeah, really nice.
Are people kind of using hemp applications in tiny home builds right now then?
I would say because of the building restrictions, most people are building either like a tiny home type approach or kind of like the shed, something like that, so that you can bypass. So for instance, I built that exactly to the limit so that I didn't have to go through building approval. So that's what a lot of people are doing right now. And most of the people that are reaching out to me that are doing builds, looking for materials and things like that, are building something pretty small like that at this time, just to grasp the idea before you invest in something like a 2,000 square foot home or something like that.
So is this the inside of that same place?
I still can't see it, but
I'm sorry.
I believe
it's the gentleman. It's the gentleman holding a 4x8 foot sheet, just removing it from apparently a wall that's ready to be exposed here now.
Yes, that is me. That is taking the form off of the wall there to expose it for the first time. So you got to do 4-foot lifts on the interior, and then the outside you're going to have 2 feet because my arm's not 4 foot long, so I can't pack material in that far. But in the inside, that was the first time seeing the wall after pouring it. So you got to go 4 feet up and hope you did a good job before you remove the board.
Oh, wow.
It's not as scary as it sounds.
Okay, I'm like, it sounds like, when you're cooking and you have to wait.
Yeah, you can see it as you're doing it. So
okay.
Yeah, you'll know if you messed up.
Looks good. Looks good. Unbelievable. Really good. Of course, the forms are all reusable. Here we're seeing you on two cement mixing, little buckets. It looks like you and a friend, and there's a pallet standing up, and you're mixing it up. You're making a little bit, probably it'd be 50 pounds of concrete, but I suppose 50 pounds of concrete, what's the weight of hempcrete then? 8 pounds maybe?
It depends on, I guess, the size. So a cubic foot when cured weighs like 14 to 15 pounds.
Okay.
So it's moderately, I guess it's about, I forgot what the ratio is, maybe 1/7 the weight of concrete in the same volume.
Okay.
But you're also probably going to do a different thicknesses and things like that, and different strength levels. So it's definitely lighter than concrete. It's still got some weight to it compared to like a traditional wall, though.
Sure. Thanks, Alex, for those pictures. That was great for us to see those. Well, anything you want to, this is your platform now. This is your bully pulpit. So anything you want to share with our listeners and tell them, a little bit about what you do and get a hold of you to do what? What can they do when they call you? On your website, it's a form. So.
Yep, I would say the biggest thing right now is just getting the word out and getting people familiar with the product. So, if people are interested, feel free to reach out, and I'll talk about hemp all day. So I have a handful of meetings per day talking about hemp, and I'd be happy to do more of them. Yeah, I think that's the main thing, is getting that awareness out. Once people get familiar with the product, it becomes kind of a no-brainer decision. If you're ready to make the move and invest the time in it, it'll be worth it.
Let us know when you plan to have classes. We'd be happy to let people, our listeners, know and pass the word out in any way we can.
Okay.
That sounds
I actually
exciting.
do have a class at BSC in September.
Ooh, okay. And how can people?
I don't have the details of it right now, but I can share that out.
Send them to us.
Send it to us,
in
and
the loop.
we would love to share that with everyone. That sounds fascinating, and that's an opportunity for people to kind of get hands-on experience as well as classroom learning. Or what does that look like?
Yeah, so it's a 2-part class. The first one will be kind of roughly what we just did now, just kind of going over what hempcrete is and how it works. And then the second part, part 2, will be hands-on. I'm not sure what we'll build yet, and I don't know what the restrictions will be with COVID and everything with having a class, but the plan is to either do individual projects where everyone's doing their own kit, making like a block, or we'll fill a wall. So I'll bring a wall and we'll fill it up.
That sounds great. Well, thank you so much, Matt, for joining us today. Is there anything that you wish we would have asked you that we didn't?
No, I think you guys had really great questions, and I think we pretty much covered everything that I could have thought of for hempcrete plus some more. So yeah, I thought you guys did great.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. We'd love to have you back, and we'll look forward to you sending us that information about how listeners can get involved with your project and learning more about hempcrete.
Awesome. Sounds good. Well, I appreciate your time, guys, and have a great rest of your day.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
Yeah, good. Okay, well, we did number 6. Lots of fun, and I'm sorry if I stepped on you. It's just I'm so excited about this product. No, really. I mean, I want him to come and build a building here where it's okay. We're going to talk out to the end of the hour. Thanks. I want to build a building here on our and hey, come. I want to work from a hempcrete building, and it's just such a neat.
I am with you.
Product.
I am with you. I was just as excited, and I just didn't want us to get beyond the comment you made, which I thought was great about, can concrete cement trucks mix this, and kind of that volume was on my mind too. And that's why I wanted to ask about modular build. So, I think, he's fascinating. I'm with you. How can I get a building on my property?
How can we do it? And I think that's the jump that's going to have to be made, though, from the, a couple of guys with strong backs, or 5 or 6 of them, making the little batches and bringing it up, to at some point it's going to have to be, whether it's a truck or it's a machine on the product, on the project, that's spitting out, a bale at a time kind of thing, and going a lot faster. I think that's going to be the next jump that I'm sure everybody is working on. Even maybe a shotcrete. You know how they?
What's that?
Shotcrete is the gun. That's how they make swimming pools. It's concrete is being literally shot. Imagine a garden sprayer of water, only it's this big around, and it's called.
Yes, I've seen that.
Yeah, it's called shotcrete, and they make a swimming pool. They make a wire grid, and then they use shotcrete to pour the cement into that wire mold. Well, imagine the same kind of thing, only you're filling that mold that he makes, and then they're tamping it down. And think how fast you could do a house. You could do a house as fast as the guys could move from place to place. And I think that's going to be the jump, when all of a sudden, okay, Mr. House Builder, you've got everything ready for us, and here comes the trucks and the hempcrete, and whether they mix it on site or bring it in, and all of a sudden you turn on the machine, and whether it's 4 hours or 10 hours or 2 days later, they've left, because it all happens. And that's going to be that's the jump, I think, that all of a sudden, okay, we're going to schedule your house for September 12th, and we're scheduling your she shed is going to be the morning of, because it's a little place, it's going to be the morning of September 13th. And that's going to be the thing that's going to make, Matt from he and his wife project to, he's going to be the next contractor. He's going to be a contractor in North Dakota, and we sure wish him well at doing that. That's a neat thing. It's been a, wow,
so I just want to, I know I am so excited too, and I'm sorry to interrupt you,
Oh,
but
no.
it is storming
Oh,
so
okay.
hard
Then,
outside. I'm sure people just were like, did it just turn to
oh, you're
nighttime
right.
at
It turned to night here. Take a
So,
minute though. Tell us
yeah.
about Prairie Products. We got to get
Oh,
why
of
we're here.
course.
So
Hey,
yeah.
so this week we were on the morning, or excuse me, the afternoon noon show at KFGO, Matt and I, and
Right.
we were able to talk a little bit about our process extraction and our products. I just was so excited to be able to express how we work with growers throughout the region with people across North Dakota. So just to remind our listeners, Prairie Products, you can find out more about us at www.prairieproductsnd.com. There you can find out about our processing, our toll,
Right
and
there on the
our
screen.
retail
Yeah.
products. Thank you.
Yeah.
Just please look at it right here. And you can purchase some of our products for you, your pets. So check us out. We have some really great things to share with the world.
Wonderful.
How
And it's
about you, Don? What are you guys up to?
starting to blink here too, but Casey and our families have been working on our products, and there's just not enough. As you know, there's not enough hours in the day. You could there could be two of me, and it's still not enough. It's for all the things that are happening in COVID and the things where our hearts go out to people. We are so thankful that we can be working every day. We have products to do. Exciting things will be coming out here on this show really soon. You know about some of them. So we just want to wish everybody a great day. It's totally dark here now too. I can't believe what's going on outside. So we will say thank you.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad.
Behind you, it just got, like Frankenstein dark. So we will say,
I'm looking at my deck and whoa.
yeah. We'll
Okay.
we'll say thank you. We thank Alex for being our producer. We're looking forward to an exciting show next week. Do you have our guests at hand here? I have to.
You know what?
Too many.
We actually have had a little bit of a shuffle.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's
There's
going
a
to be
shuffle.
a surprise. But
Oh.
know that our upcoming guests include growers from the region, also faculty member from Botno doing research in hemp, another faculty member out in Dickinson that does research, Ryan. So Keith is one from Botno. So we have lots of excitement ahead about what's happening in hemp research here in the Valley and actually grow in the ground information too. So
wonderful. I'll talk to you along the way, and we'll see everybody next week. Another edition of Chat CANNA. Goodbye, everybody.
bye, people. Bye, friends.
So click it down.